It's the Saga campaign Abridged Part 11, where in the previous part we were blasting away at our Imperial allies, managed to hold our ground and even take a tiny bit of territory. We also actually defeated some of our real enemies, the Shogunals, with an ambush plan that allowed us to take an Aizu territory and end our war with the Aizu, but we're still at war in virtually every other direction. I did spot an opportunity perhaps at Kai, because the army that was there has walked off somewhere, so I've got this force that I was going to use to try and protect my vassal here. Started sneaking it forwards, hoping we could retake the place. Here was a plan I mentioned last time. I wanted to defend that bridge. We'll start moving into position. I was suspecting that there was a Josei stack at Hitachi Fields, but I came to actually look, and there isn't one, which is highly suspicious because they've just taken it from the Satsuma, but there's no signs of armies from either side. A bit strange, but I just ignored it and moved on. Needed to decide what to do with our main force here. We can go either to the west or east, and I decided to go east because we know that place is undefended. We don't know much about the west, but I'm leaving enough stuff behind to defend Shimotsuke there if we do get attacked. Does mean our attack to the east will be weaker, but I figured this is probably enough stuff to make an attack on a castle. We've got all the anti-castle exploit units in there. Then at the start of the next turn, we've got another front opening up because the Sendai actually bothered to naval invade us. I figured other factions would do this because we've been at war with a lot of people who could naval invade us, but they just tend not to. In this case it has happened, and we can see that Josei army I was looking for has appeared on my side of the river, so clearly there's another crossing somewhere, and that explains why we couldn't see them earlier. They were making that crossing. That means we need to defend this area around here, the Shimasa area. So first we can stack up with the forces I was planning to use to defend that bridge, because the bridge is probably fine. The movement arrows here on the ground trick me into thinking I can move over to Shimasa port, but I can't. We tried anyway. So we've actually given the enemy potential there to do a siege draw out on us, but they probably don't know about that. It'll be fine. Not going to bother trying to find out where that crossing was. Thought I'd just keep an eye on Hitachi here. Still nothing there, so we can go and make an attack right now. The balance bar in this battle was suspiciously good. I was like, that's a really good auto-resolve balance bar, but is it a classic lie? Well, we're just going to find out with the save and auto-resolve strategy. The result we get here is another result where it's like, yes, that probably would have actually been the result in a manual resolve. It seems these auto-resolves are giving me results which is kind of what you would get if you attacked without doing exploits. So if you didn't sit back and snipe the enemy and try to blow up wall pieces to get extra kills, then yeah, we probably would lose the unit that led the attack, and take some casualties on the other ones. Fine. We've taken this place. Annoyingly, we don't have enough troops here to tax it while our troops are inside, so we have to untax it for now. And it's going to be hard to get rid of the shogunate sentiment because there are lots of shogunate agents in this area. Their propaganda spreading agents are walking around all the time, and they're also really high level, so having some trouble with that. With the Matsumoto, I thought maybe I could cheekily go south onto the Izu Peninsula and just take stuff here, but actually it's really heavily defended by the looks of things, and they also have a stack to the west of the field settlement there, so overall we're just sort of locked down from all directions, not too much we can do. I was able to grab this peace treaty with the Josei, even get some money from it as well. So that's pretty good, since they did have an army coming to attack us back at Shimasa. They actually had two armies, I hadn't even seen the second one yet. My dream of controlling my trade port back at Nagasaki ends after a couple of turns of hope when someone else shows up to take us down, this time with two ships instead of one. Not really very much we can do about that. The Sendai landing force didn't do anything in its turn, so that gives me time to stack up and prepare my defences. We do also spot, though, a Tekeyama force is coming down from the north. That's annoying because they might decide to turn and go west, bypassing our defences, and there's not an enormous amount we can do to stop them without giving up our defense against the Sendai. It's annoying the Sendai didn't just conclude things so we could ignore them this turn, so maybe this is their plan, to just stand there and be annoying. I was trying to do some kind of ambush at the Izu Peninsula, but nothing happened. They've still got the place really heavily defended, and of course they can attack us, so if we go south and lose a lot of troops trying to take down their army in a castle attack, then they might just swoop in with that other army from behind us. Overall, I wasn't confident enough to really do anything, so we're just going to sit around and grab some replenishment as well, which we still need on that army. This is the next turn now, where we're going to use a little bit of trickery. We've got attacks coming in all over the place, and the Sendai still haven't done anything. In particular, you can tell by the way the Takayama army is facing that it intends to cross the bridge to Musashi, and we don't have that much here. So I was concerned they might actually be able to start taking stuff if they got past us. To try and weaken them, I decided to send an agent out to assassinate their general, giving them lower morale in any potential castle defences. This actually crashed the game, which sends me back to the previous turn's autosave. Thus, I can now use my knowledge of the future to actually detach some troops from Shimasa to go and help with the defense of Musashi. Therefore, we have benefited from the game crashing once again, although actually not so much, because my actions changed the path of time. Instead, the Takayama army is going to the other bridge on that river, which will bring them down towards Musashi Fields instead, which is also where the Matsumoto are currently setting up to attack from the west. So we're going to concentrate our defences here and just see what happens with this one really. It could be that the Takayama were just trying to use the other bridge because the AI smelled the southern bridge was impassable due to me being there, that sort of thing. This may explain why here in the next turn, well, the Takayama have gone back to the other side of the river. It seems they are interested in crossing that other bridge just while it's not blocked. So that's bought some time. They're wasting time taking this very long route of attack. In the meantime, I could attack that Matsumoto army, but I wasn't that interested in doing so. I wanted to see if I could get them to attack me. That's why I'm doing this ambush behind Musashi Fields. The idea is they'll think Musashi Fields is weak enough to attack because they can't see the reinforcements, and then we'll have an easy battle actually when they do attack. We're reforming the main force up top after leaving a few things behind off to the east, and we'll have use for that army in a second. You can see I'm back at it again with the ambush plan down on the main Matsumoto front. Still not much action. There's a lot of stuff sitting there that should be tempted to walk forwards and attack me, but they're not doing it, so the ambush just isn't happening. And we already saw there's also a stack to the south that might show up, but yeah, not much happening over there. Then, well, it's the Josei. We got peace with them in this very episode, and now they are back once again for another war. And you can see they are to the west of that Shimotsuke place. So that's what our main force will have to concern themselves with. The Musashi Fields plan is successful, although I'm getting tricked by the balance bar again. You might think at some point I'd stop falling for this. No, I'm not going to. So we had a really good balance bar, but the result turns out pretty bad. Didn't kill that much of the enemy army, and we lost loads of our stuff. But most of what we lost was garrison, so it's not as bad as it looked actually there. We lost something like 4 units, and we did also lose the commander of the reinforcements due to an enemy assassin. Inconvenient, but perhaps not as bad as it seems at first. That's the best we can say of that. Now, as for the Josei situation, we're not really going to do anything fancy here. I'm just going to take my newly reformed army and walk at them. We're going to go straight into battle. They can have numerical advantage, fine. I'm just going to fight them straight up. Now, I had the opportunity to get peace with the Takayama. I saw that they were willing to peace out if I gave them some money. But I actually cancelled that because I was pretty confident that we were going to kill this army right here. I thought they'll probably attack a castle and die, and then maybe I can get the peace without spending money. So that's why I ignored the peace offer right there. Here we are in the next turn. You can see it looks like they're walking towards Musashi, so we can form up there with a few real units. We'll have a load of garrison units and of course the castle. And yeah, I was pretty sure we'll be able to hold out there, so I'm just going to leave them to it. They could of course attack Musashi Port or something, but it's possible they won't think of that. Up north, I wanted to finish off the survivors from the Musashi Fields plan. They ran away though, and I didn't really want to pursue them because we'll end up in an awkward position. I want to get back to Musashi Fields as soon as possible. So I'm going to try and ambush here because they might come back to try and attack Musashi Fields again, and we can ambush them on the way. Now for the Josei plan, I took a look and saw that their forces aren't really all that much. Tons of spear levy, loads of levy infantry as well. I was like, well, my army of good line infantry with a bunch of sharpshooters and stuff, we can probably just shoot them all down. But there's another barrier to entry here, and that is that the game will not allow me to attack the stack on the road. It seems the zone of control of the town is forcing me away from that stack next to them. I think we saw a glitch like this early in the campaign. And the long and short of it is the only thing I could do is go and attack a building and then stand next to them. So we'll stand there, maybe they'll attack me, and that will get the battle going. The Matsumoto don't fall for any of the ambushes we've set up for them, but the Takayama do go and attack Musashi. they've got their advantage there. But as I said, I was pretty confident that because we're going to be doing a siege defense, we'll just be able to take them down, especially because they've got lots of cav, very not useful for a siege attack. And actually it was easier than expected. We'll just look at a few highlights from the battle. It was a very glitchy battle. A lot of their units just kind of got stuck in places. This unit's dueling with some of my line infantry on the wall and they'll eventually die. They've got some glitched out cav just standing around, being shot by towers and things like that. They made their main attack at the southwest corner, where at first they had something going for them. They attacked with a couple of sword units that actually managed to climb up with quite a few troops left, but not enough to kill all of the garrison stuff we have behind. And then once they die, they're going to come in to attack with line infantry. We can shoot them with our own line infantry, and once they've made the climb, been shot to pieces, lost all of their stamina, they're not going to have the melee skill to overcome the stuff on top of the wall. Now then we just wait and see how many kills we can get. And as you can see on the minimap, they've got units kind of glitched out, stuck on the edge of the castle and just doing nothing. So it was a very not serious attack and not very much happened overall. Here was me sniping away at a stuck unit of line infantry with some bow key. I think my first time using this unit in any real capacity. We sniped down at this dancing crew who are also being sniped by the towers and stuff. So yeah, not quite sure what's going on. It's probably the custom map nurse just messing up the AI royally and causing all the units to glitch out. Here's their general who was standing in front of a bit of wall, so I put some guns there to fire at him. He just took that and eventually routed as well. We spent ages shooting archers after that, but we're going to skip now to the end. We took very minimal casualties. The enemy army is heavily damaged, and what I hope, of course, is that this will make the Takayama think twice about charging me for peace so we can get out of the war a bit cheaper. Back at the Josei situation, I still can't attack them, so I'm going to go for what the game is telling me to do. That is to kind of walk strangely around the army on the road to try and get an attack on the settlement going. The bad news is that now the Takayama wouldn't accept peace even if I gave them double the amount of money I was offering last time. So I'm not quite sure what's going on, but they've clearly built some more units or something and become confident. That means my plan went very badly actually. We should have got the peace earlier. Down with Matsumoto. I've got bored of waiting for an ambush. It's clearly just not happening, so we're just going to go for it. I'm just going to attack their castle. The bounce bar's really bad because they're even reinforced from outside. So I'm going to leave them under siege and see if they sally. Maybe that will make things a bit better. There is some good news on the way because the fleet I've been sending home to finally build up a trade network for ourselves has now arrived at Kyushu. I'm going to spend a lot of the money I actually saved up to repair the port right now to repair instead the fleet. So we'll get water control, then save up again to repair the ports, and then maybe we'll start making some cash. Now the Josei do come out and attack our main force, so we finally got the battle I was trying to get earlier. Just a load of stuff. They've got numbers, but we can shoot them a bit better, so it's going to be a pure shootout. I had a slightly unusual setup for this battle because I was trying to put down the trenches, and because our side of the battlefield was really lumpy, I could only do it in certain points, so I've got this weird diagonal line trying to get as many trenches out as possible. We've also put down the cavalry stakes on both flanks, and indeed both flanks are being approached by cavalry. Right here, this unit charges, gets shot at early, takes some losses, but it's not enough, and now it may be able to actually reach our lines before we reload and shoot them again, but the AI can't see the stakes. Thus, virtually all of the unit gets defeated. A few of them do make it through, not going to be enough. That's the right flank saved then. As for the left flank, things went a bit differently because while we also had the stakes set up, the cav were coming in at more of an angle, so they were less likely to go through them. But perhaps more importantly, I actually didn't stand behind the odd stakes that are set up there. Looks like the stakes are being messed up by the trees. What I wanted to do is ignore the cav, rush for some reason to turn forward the left flank ready to shoot on the enemy as they advanced, and use our spear levy to counter the enemy cav. As you can see, that didn't work because the timing was way off. They still hit me before the spear levy were in position. At least now that they're there, they're going to get shot from a lot of different directions, and in particular I turned around the British light infantry who started blasting at point blank range into the unit. That's the sort of volley we like to see. Down they go. We did lose a bunch of sharpshooters there. Overall nothing too bad, and now they will set up to start firing into the main line battle. At both ends of our line we have the sharpshooters supporting the line infantry. So while the enemy have more line infantry, many of them are levies, they have low experience, they don't have cover, and the sharpshooters on both flanks will just be adding kills that will gradually work their way down the line as well and kill more and more stuff until we probably are going to win. They're also making some melee charges up the hill, and the hilliness gives us good line of sight on them as well, so we're going to get plenty of shots off. Looks like there's some kind of forgotten cav rear attack set up for here but never done. In this case, making a cav rear attack is a bit dangerous because you'll be running into your own line of fire. Here are some spear levy trying to charge into the British light infantry again. They do make it and grab a couple of kills, but their morale is not good enough. So while light infantry are particularly weak against melee attacks, it was the right idea, but just can't be done in this situation. Here's an actual melee fight between two melee units, almost a rare thing in this campaign, and they just get sniped from the side, the enemy unit there, so we're going to win that one. And the main line battle, which has been going on in between all this, seems to be going our way, the enemy losing more and more troops. Their second army then comes in after the fight's effectively over. We take them out with some artillery to begin with, and then once they get close into gun range, they just routed, and this thing turned into a chain rout, so we didn't really fight the second army very much. There we go then. We got the result we needed from this fight. We've killed a whole bunch of the enemy. So now once it's our turn, maybe we'll be allowed to attack the settlement and we can get back to where I wanted to be a couple of turns ago. They've also got an army though that moves in to besiege Shimosa port, and the Sendai appeared to move at the same time as well. A peace treaty comes in from Owaji Sumamoto. Not very important, but we'll just take that one since it's always good to be at peace with people. The Matsumoto sally against our siege, and that balance bar's really good for us. Makes me think the balance bar's lying when the AI decides to take a bad balance bar, because the AI is supposed to not attack unless it has an advantage, but who knows how it actually works. In this case I did a save and auto-resolve, and actually the result was pretty good, so we do get what we need there. We didn't kill as many as we probably would in a manual resolve, but their garrison is now pretty weak after that, and I'm sure that's going to eventually lead to some kind of capture. I was more interested though in this situation right here. So the Sendai appear to be now joining the Josei in setting up for an attack at Shimosa port. We do have a decent amount of stuff on the inside already since we had so long to prepare for that attack. So all hope is not lost there. I also want to go and make this attack right now because we can theoretically end the threat of the Josei siege, because they actually only have 2 regions, meaning if they were to lose this region, they'll be on the cusp and may accept peace and /or vassalship. So we make this attack. It's going to be a night attack to cancel out the reinforcements that survived the last battle. Not going to use the replay footage for this because this is what I call a technical battle, a battle where we're just going to use exploits to absolutely minimize our casualties, but it does take a long time. Step 1 is to just use up all the ammo on the artillery and grab a couple of hundred kills over time. The AI ordinarily would come and attack you if you just sat there shooting them with artillery, but because this is kind of a siege battle, I think they have like double defensive AI, where they don't want to leave their deployment area or anything, so they just stand there, and once the artillery is out of ammo, we move up and start doing it with the sharpshooters as well. We can stand in the sweet spot out of the enemy's range, but we're still firing, and all of our sharpshooters, especially the leveled up ones, are super accurate, so even firing at max range, we get kills real fast. I did imagine they would step forward at some point and try to stop me from doing this, but they didn't, so this turns into a real technical battle where we're going to exploit from the very start to the very end. The enemy will effectively act as if we aren't here, while constantly taking casualties, meaning we don't have to do very much. We've got plenty of ammo on the sharpshooters. I've almost certainly taken the upgrade on my general that gives you plus 50% ammo to everything, since I usually go for that. So we just sit back and shoot. A couple of units, you can see they are moving about as if they intend to attack. These guys keep disappearing, which is a bit of a problem, makes it difficult to shoot them. But I suppose it doesn't matter because we've shot so much of the enemy army later in the battle that by the time some of them actually do kind of notice us and start firing back, it's a bit too late. They've got like 2 pixels on the balance bar by the time they're shooting. They did kill a couple of us, so we didn't get away with 0 casualties in the battle, but we came pretty close, and everything that's left will just chain route and be deleted. A good result right there. and because we're taking the settlement, we will be able to grab some replenishment soon and perhaps undo the small number of casualties we just took. There is another enemy army just to the west, probably just one turn away, so we have to pay attention to that. The heat isn't off for this army, but still good progress. And now for the thing I mentioned earlier. I wanted to see if this will get us out of the war with the Josai, and it will. It will also make them our vassal, so that's even better. We can do a pointless exchange of military access. I'll try to get some cash off them, but normally factions don't like to pay you and become their vassal. Becoming a vassal is good enough, since we'll get cash in the long run. And there we go, also turns the Josai to be imperial as well, so that adds to our not important victory condition. That's going to save Shimosa Port, because now the army besieging it and the other army coming to back them up are on our side, so the Sendai are now stuck there in a bit of trouble. I decided to move out this very turn and defend that bridge, because while it doesn't look good for public order in the field type settlements can be solved quite easily, because they're really easy to convert and get like 15 public order from loyalty. And I wanted to take the bridge defense in case we get attacked this turn by the Takiori. Meanwhile, with the Matsumoto, I wondered if I could come and auto-resolve this siege or something after we defeated their garrison recently, but it's still strong enough to be a pretty even setup. This is a fight that certainly would be doable if I could be bothered to actually go through and do it. We'd have to do it very carefully and slowly, but I didn't want to, so I just waited to see if they would sally again or something like that. Here's me fleeing with my other fleet in this area. With my more broken fleet, I've just been fleeing all over the place every turn because the enemy keep trying to attack it and I'm trying to avoid fighting with it because I can't replace it basically. Just going around and cheekily raiding trade routes in between to get cash. Now then, we have an interesting development. The Josai declare war on us. Yes, that's the same Josai we just vassalized literally this turn. This is, I think, the fastest betrayal I've seen outside of a realm divide situation where everyone likes to betray you. I guess we're sort of in some kind of realm divide situation because that was quick. Now they're going to take advantage of my trust in them. I was moving some reinforcement troops right by their army over here, up near the field place we just took, and indeed they're able to force a battle against us. Considered doing this, I thought maybe our 4 units of spears can do something against their 3 units of spears and a bunch of levies. If there were some glitches or something, we'd be able to win, but I don't think we'd be able to take them down in a straight fight because the levies would just gun us down and morale debuff us and stuff like that. So I thought, well, I'll auto-resolve it. We get a very ungenerous auto-resolve where we killed 0 enemies. I'm sure we could have got a couple of them. But anyway, that's that. Handily, they don't attack the settlement, but we'll have to worry about them now. And the attack I thought I'd got away with at Shimosa Port is now going to happen. Their stack comes back to the attack, and no siege this time, it's just going to go for it. So now we have to face off against these 2 armies coming in. We do have the defenders of Shimosa Castle also able to take part in this fight, although they'll be outside of our defences, so much less useful. We'll see if we can do anything with them at the start of the next part, as the pressure just continues to pile on. We just have to survive a bit longer to make the Emperor love us a bit more, and then maybe he'll force everybody to be nice to us. Please, Emperor Sama, please, this campaign is wearing me down.